Are you struggling to come up with original content week in and week out? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients, let them talk about what they care about most, and never run out of content ideas again. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. This episode is sponsored by Directive Consulting, the B2B search marketing agency. We are here today with Ofer Yourvexel. He is the CEO and co-founder at Pepperi. Ofer, how are you doing today?
Very well. How are you, James?
I am fantastic. So, Ofer, I'm excited to chat with you today. We're going to be talking about consumer good B2B sales and how brands and wholesalers use mobility to supercharge their growth. But before we get into that, I would love to have you give a little bit of context for our listeners so they understand why you're the guy to be talking about this. Can you tell us a little bit about Pepperi and what you guys are up to up there?
Sure. So Pepperi is an international company. We help consumer good products manufacturers and wholesalers to sell B2B worldwide. We have some of the largest brands in the world that are working with us in that respect, and some actually small and medium customer as well across more than 60 countries around the globe. We help them by unifying their processes, all their sales processes and customer-facing processes, which relate to the salespeople in the field, the merchandising, which is a unique role in this industry, drivers even that bring this merchandise to stores and to those distributors. We help the customers to interact with our customer, their customer to interact with them through this platform that Pepperi provides, and we help their management, telesales. So everyone that is dealing with the customers, with the B2B customers, are using our platform in order to interact with those through that.
I love it. So you guys are in a really interesting position because you're working with B2C brands, but really helping them with their B2B strategy. And just that, the relationship between B2B and B2C has always been really interesting. How would you say that B2B has been inspired by B2C as a whole?
I think we are all inspired nowadays from our children. Those days where business were leading the curve. I remember like 20, 30 years ago, business people were using technology, the latest and greatest technology. They were the only one to use laptops and Blackberries at the beginning and all those gadgets and communication facilities. Nowadays, it's exactly the opposite. Business is tracing those children that are using all those gadgets. Yep. And it's the same story about B2C and B2B. So we are all consumers, all of us. We are using all those mobile technology and internet, and which provides us simple access to information, immediate access to information. And we expect the same type of interaction from in our B2B processes today. We don't have time, to spend and to work through tedious processes. So I think everything is simplified, everything is accessible, everything is digitized today. Yeah. Exactly like in B2C.
Yeah, I see kind of what Uber and Airbnb and those B2C brands that are, it's so accessible. I can get a phone from, just by pulling out, or I can get a car just by pulling out my phone. I can stay in somebody's house just as easily at the airport, pulling up my phone in the Airbnb app. And I'm starting to see more and more B2B brands embrace kind of this ease of use and accessible technology that otherwise 10 years ago wasn't in existence. How do you see technology changing the way that brands and wholesalers, being in the world that you're living in, how do you see the way technology is changing how they work with retailers?
Yeah, so it goes along the way of what you were just saying. So, for example, 10 years ago, the only way they were selling was through a salesperson, with his suitcase going to those retailers. and selling them face to face. And in today's world, it's a multi-channel process in which their customer, can choose how to interact with them. You might do it still through a salesperson, but you expect this salesperson to come equipped with all the relevant information in his palm of his hand, on a mobile device.
Yeah.
And he might do it himself through his mobile device, or he might do it from his desktop. So the first thing I would say, it's no longer dependent on this salesperson. And the second thing is, and it's a multiple channel type of sales process in which the customer can choose, how to interact with you. And our customer wants to provide this customer the same experience across those channels, which makes it very important that it will be one platforms that provide the same experience. So you don't want the customer to go through the B2B commerce channel and find different pricing and different upsell and cross-sell special pricing that you will not find through the salesperson. You want them to be the same experience.
Yeah.
Another thing that I can touch on is people. If in the past people were much more loyal to their places and stay for much longer, today it's very hard. Typically, a sales rep and people will not stay with the same employer for more than 2 to 3 years, which makes it very hard, to transfer knowledge and to rely on a specific knowledge of a person. So you want everything to be automated. You want the upsells and cross-sell and the wisdom of the sales process to be within the system and not be dependent on someone that is with you for 10 years.
All right, it's story time again. And today I'm going to tell you about a challenge within Pelican Case's B2B division. Pelican needed a partner with deep B2B expertise that could get them a massive bump in leads from their pay-per-click campaigns without increasing spend. After vetting a handful of agencies, they decided to go with Directive Consulting, a B2B search marketing agency located in Southern California. Directive took on this challenge by refining their targeting and building custom landing pages for their advertising efforts. Once implemented, they saw a 208% increase in conversion rate. And needless to say, Pelican Cases met their initiative. I have a hunch that Directive can get these kind of results for you too. So head over to directiveconsulting.com and request a totally free custom proposal. That's directiveconsulting.com. All right, let's get back to this interview.
Could you share an example, Ofer, of kind of how or what this looks like, practically speaking?
Sure. Are you familiar, for example, with a company called Rip Curl? They are the number one in surfing worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they started to use us with reps like 6 years ago, I believe, all over Europe. And we automated the process for them, for the salespeople all over Europe, going to retailers and selling them their equipment and their sportish swimwears and all that. And after a while, they decided why not providing their customer the ability to interact with them whenever they want and order directly. And then they started to use our B2B commerce in parallel. And a year ago, they decided to go with us also to their headquarters in Australia and expand with Pepperi, this time upfront with all those channels and not channel by channel. This is one example. SodaStream, if you're familiar with, started to use us in the US here and then expanded all over the world for their merchandisers and for their salespeople. Again, those are two different skills, two different things that the companies needs when they interact with companies. They wanted to, and obviously all the office people are using our platform in parallel. Mm-hmm. So Hallmark is another example.
Hallmark,
yeah, using us worldwide. With about 2,000 users, with both their merchandisers, the salespeople. Yeah.
And so stores can reorder product kind of directly from an app as opposed to having to kind of go through the traditional process of working through a sales rep. Is that how it works?
Yes, sure. This is one option that we provide to our customers out of many other options as well. The name of the game today is to provide those options and let them choose.
Yeah. So if the folks listening to this, they're looking for a solution like Pepperi, they're looking to simplify how they work with retailers. What would you say that they need to look for when they're looking for that solution?
I would say it's three things. The first thing is the completeness of the solution. I don't think you want, because it's a multi-channel process with so many people that might be involved interacting with the customer, you don't want to have a fragmented solution that which then needs to be integrated. I mean, between those things that we mentioned, and then it might be fragmented, and then you might want to provide the same experience across those channels. So the first thing, it needs to be completed. The second thing I would say is flexibility, meaning, and technology-wise, it's across the board when I talk about flexibility, but our part is mainly on the technology side. So from the technology side, flexibility translates to configurability, meaning that you can change the way the system is working for you to adjust it to your business need and to your business processes without the need to code, without the need to have programmers, that you can easily do that. This gives you the agility, the business agility, which is a necessity in our days in order to survive and to excel. And the third thing is simplicity. I think people nowadays do not have time to learn and to go through training. You want people to interact with new system immediately. This is the way they interact with apps today. They download them and start to use them. No one is going through training. So to sum it up again, it's three things. It's completeness, it's flexibility, and it's simplicity.
I love it. So, Ofer, I don't talk to a lot of folks that are kind of straddling both worlds like you are with B2B, B2C, kind of wholesalers working with retailers. Where do you see the future of this space going?
It's not a secret that it is continuously changing, and it's just accelerating. I think retail will change dramatically, but this is a different subject that we can talk about for hours. But retail will stay, but will be different. The other thing that we are going to see, which relates to that, is the boundaries between B2B and B2C will disappear. I think we are seeing it already, and you touched on it already in your question. So yes, we see players of B2C only start entering into the B2B world, and we see a player of B2B world entering the B2C world. And we think the boundaries between the two will be much more blurred. It will not exist as it is today.
Yeah, I totally agree that I'm already starting to see that happen. And I am very excited about kind of the refreshing nature of what that brings to the B2B space. I think it's bringing a spirit of creativity that I haven't seen in B2B before. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. So I'm excited about where it's going. Ofer, if somebody's listening to this, they want to learn more about Pepperi, they want to stay connected with you, what's the best way for them to go about doing both of those things?
I think the best way is you can always reach out to us through LinkedIn, on Pepperi, through Facebook, or through our website. Simply contact us. And you can always contact me as well through LinkedIn and Ofer Yourvexel under Pepperi. So,
awesome, Ofer. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been fantastic, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.